keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight slight vibration saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Can a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant.
All right. Let me see. Is audio good? Hello, hello, Echo. Hello, everyone. so we're actually gonna switch to this. Okay, so I do have it in the stream title what we are reading today. We are reading my friend's novel, Beneath a Moonless Sky. We did originally start chapter 1. Of course, I remember nothing from it, so we're actually going to start all over. I'm hoping to get through at least the first 5 chapters. Let me just make sure all the redeems are off, because this is going to be uploaded to YouTube. Let me just check redeemed real quick. Like, pretty much anything with a sound alert is stuff I want to have off, though. So, pretty much all of these should be off. On the clip, that's gonna stay on because that doesn't really affect the stream that much. That could stay on. The plushie redeems, the photo shoot redeems, that's off. That's off, that's off, that's off, that's off. Yeah, I think pretty much everything's good. Everything's either, stuff that has alert, either it's off or... Actually, hold on. Just remember something. So we're gonna save that. I'm doing well, Al. How are you doing tonight? I just want to make sure all audio stuff is off. So technically, since I do more ASMR stuff, so I am going to be changing the sound alerts too. So I am taking out all the sound alerts right now. By that I mean like, yeah, sound alerts, yeah. So like this default one for the hype train, we're taking that off. Because like I have OBS on my other monitor, so I really don't need it. Okay, all of those are out. Good. They will still pop up on the screen, but it will not interrupt that much. So I do have Twitch on one screen and OBS on the other. So I am thinking of redoing the alerts. No worries, Al. There are a few things I will be bringing up on stream though that has happened within the last couple weeks. So I think I'll go through that first. I have already talked to my mods. This should be pretty obvious. As I do haven't mentioned my rules and it's just comment stream ethics. We did have a streamer, not a streamer, well technically yeah, they are a streamer. Someone who came into chat pretty much asking if I do anything else other than writing. We all know this channel is mainly it's mainly for ASMR. That's why I am experimenting with ASMR. ASMR writing, co-writing, for productive stream. And we do reading every other week. As I do enjoy reading to you. I do enjoy reading to you guys. It's what I love to do. So I will do reading stuff and script stuff. Those will be some will be YouTube only. So that's why I've been uploading gameplays and doing ASMR scripts and also my own reading of my own stories on YouTube. So, but what I don't appreciate is people coming to the stream. Like, this person is a somewhat regular. They've been following me for a while. They're even in the Discord. They should know, like, I put what I do in my panels. It's also in the rules. So I do not appreciate someone coming into my stream asking, do you do anything else but writing? That is just rude. And I really do not appreciate that. What I stream is what I want to do. I enjoy writing. That is what I love to do. And that's why most of my content is writing. As I said, this is a writing stream. I am a co-writing stream. I also do ASMR writing. So that is my main focus for this channel. But the next time someone does do that, start complaining about what I'm actually doing when they know my content, and if they actually been into my streams when I'm doing gaming or when I'm doing the reading streams, and then they ask that, I said, like, you will be timed out for that. And all mods are aware. And they will time you out accordingly for that. That is just something I felt like it should be obvious. It's just common ethics, but like I felt like I just have to address this for now. And I will be posting this on Twitter as well. I will be posting a Twitter announcement, and I'll be putting it in Discord as well. And the next thing, I can't believe I actually have to say this, but boundaries. As you all know, I do have a Discord server where I have it's usually not that active, which is fine because that's supposed to be like a chill community. If you guys want to talk in it, you guys are more than welcome to. And if you need to reach me, there's plenty of channels you can reach me, and there's also my DMs as well. However, I don't mind talking to you guys during DMs if you need to talk to me privately. But that is what the main part of the Discord channel is for conversations. I'm trying to reserve DMs for friends only. My very close friends. And I have been getting quite a bit of DMs from people I don't know. So I will be restricting my DMs at some point if this keeps happening. Especially when I'm getting like more than 10 messages a day in DMs. At this point, I'm just thinking maybe just restricting my DMs. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. But like I said, I have no problem talking to you guys. that is what the main Discord is for. There is also my other social medias that I'm also pretty active on as well, like Twitter and stuff like that. Even though Twitter is trash, with its own drama, but like all social medias have their own ups and downs. That is just something to keep in mind, everyone. Al, this is not particularly directed at you. This is just in general. So, like, I do get quite a bit of DMs. Especially a good majority of them is from, as I said, from these artist bots, GX bots, or whatever. I do get quite a bit of those. So that is, and then that is probably the main issue right now. That is why, for anyone who comes to the Discord, I manually assign role to gain access to the Discord. So it's not that this is a new rule. It's more that I have discussed this in the past, but I felt like I had to bring this up again. It's also just common ethics as we content creators do have life outside streaming and outside social media. So that is just something to keep in mind as well. But it's just like one of those unspoken rules that, you know, that we have. But if I have to physically write it down and put it in my panels, then I will. Oh, though it's ridiculous that I actually have to explain that. And I actually have to put it down in the panel. Okay, and the other thing is I do have a 3 dial. Is that how you spell it? How you say it? 3 dial? That microphone that I got from Throne. So I do plan on using that in the future for future reading streams, and for the roleplay scripts and videos. Problem is, I think I need an audio interface. So if anyone knows anything about that, just let me know. Either in the Discord or on Twitter. Because, like, now I have to look for it just to hook this up to my computer. And I don't know which one to get. Along with other things I need to look for. Okay, so for those who are wondering, we are reading my friend's novel. She is a streamer, and I do have permission to read her novel. I don't think I have a command for her, because I would love to shout her out. Because her author name is it's spelled different on Twitch. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, here it is. Let's see if I can spell her name right. Because she had changed it once before. Let's see. Shout out. out. Did I spell it right? Yeah. Okay, there it is. So, and Anne Marie is author of this book. She also goes by the one and only Gitana, or Anne. She is our wonderful homie. And I think I also have a Gitana. And there's the other command. Yeah, like, she had changed. It used to be a Gitana of the Lounge, I think. But then, like, she changed it to her author name, which is Anna Marie K. So, yeah. Oh, and Vector. I'm not sure if you checked the mod chat, but there was an issue, I think, a week or two ago, about a viewer that popped into stream. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. If that person does, he's a somewhat regular, but if he pops up again, you guys do have the full right to time him out. And I have to make sure Ghost knows as well. Yeah. Shit keeps happening, and it's starting to piss me off a little bit. Because, like, don't question what I'm doing on stream, okay? This is my stream. I can do whatever hell I want. Oh, thank you, Al. Now, before I do anything, let me just make sure, because the camera is right in front of me, so I just want to calibrate real quick. I know I keep looking back and forth between two monitors. Hold on. Let me just stare at the camera real quick. Calibrate. Okay, I think it's good now. Although this could just be paranoid. Okay, so like I said at the beginning of the stream, yeah, I don't remember if he was on stream when that happened or he was probably distracted. I do have to probably mention it to him though, because he doesn't actually look on the Discord that much unless we actually pin him. I mean, ping, tag him, whatever it's called. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. That is the point of these streams. I try to make you, like, comfy and then for everyone to vibe to, regardless of what I'm doing. And if I am doing anything other than, like, reading or writing, I do post it on my schedule that I do post on Twitter. And also in the Discord, if I remember. Okay, so we're actually going to restart reading chapter 1 because I did read in the middle of it. I stopped it right in the middle. Was this like a month or two ago? I think. I honestly don't remember. Well, yeah, we're just going to start from the beginning. So let me just skip the dedication page, technology page. Okay, so there are 22 chapters in this story. So we're going to try to get through the first 5 chapters. If not, that's fine. Then I'll just re-edit the title for YouTube. So, Beneath a Moonless Sky, a Pretear novel by Anne Marie Kay. Chapter 1. The Good Doctor. Upper City, 1820. A fair-skinned fellow that is billed as Dr. Elias Taverington received a fair amount of correspondence. In recent light, these letters have been addressing the deaths piling up in the street from the Zide outbreak, a demonic plague. His palms began to sweat as he stares down at the news, clipping and stacks of daily papers, with missing sections of each new infection and death of another victim that is claimed by this curse, that has suffered in the last 60 years. His storm-gray eyes drain from days of experiments and failures. Elias stands from his desk, nearly tipping the chair backward, and turns toward a steel table. Each step heavily against the marble floor, he darts toward the deceased girl, a fae of second nobility, a lower house. She is covered in black blisters and buboes. He narrows his eyes as he paces around the table, lifting her legs and arms to check for further issues. He shakes his head, wiping his hands on his pants. He lets out a drowned-out sigh, and his right hand twitches at his side. He forces his dresser open, vials of potions all labeled. Elias pulls his white lab coat over his shoulders before he takes one and turns it around. His eyes are... I think there should have been a comma there about hold on. And turns it around. His eyes are sharp, and he swirls the liquid before he opens the vial. Day 45 of experiment 128. The subject died within 2 days of the infection. Testing third elixir, poppy seeds, nightshade, and liquid garlic. He sees the inks staining the corners of the table as he scribbles down his notes. The flesh rots away at the fingernails, toes, and nose. Sweat drips down his forehead as he watches his brow furrowed, and the potion began to sizzle. He bites his feathered quill. Could this be? Have I a cure? Tapping his foot, waiting for the effects of his elixir, eyes wide, he adjusts his spectacles. He leans in closer, pouring the liquid onto the skin. It begins to sizzle and bubble from the burns of the decaying flesh. The smell of chemicals overwhelms the fragile skin. In a split of a second, there is a new hole in the body. Another failure. Elias chokes back a scream. He tears a piece of paper in half, slamming his fist hard against the brick wall, his knuckles black and blue. He turns his back on the victim. He drags his feet towards his cluttered desk. Falling into his chair, he throws the pile of papers to the floor and shakes his head. He removes his glasses and he squeezes his nose bridge hard. He wipes the sweat from his brow, drying his palms on his pants. Tears well up behind his bloodshot eyes. Fuck this cursed disease. Will it not allow me a moment of hope? He mumbles. Combs his fingers through his tangled black hair, and he leans into his hands. Elias lets another sigh, getting on his knees to pick up his notes and daily clippings, places them back on his desk. He organizes them once again, a stack to his left and another in front of him. Adjusting his glasses, he starts to write and note the failure. I need to know the nature of this demonic curse, where it has journeyed from, he mumbles, his fingers scribbling more, tearing his eyes from the parchment. He stares at the ceiling. His eyes are heavy with exhaustion. He wiggles his fingers, giving them feeling once again, continuing his notes. More questions rise within him. Each one is more sinister than the next. Kaldir, guide me. Give me. I must find a way to purge this curse from our lands, he whispers. When the wax of his candlestick nearly diminished as he stares blankly at his writings. Experiment 45 died approximately 2 days and 3 hours ago. She suffered great pain in her abdomen and chest. Once dead, as I took control like a parasite possessing a slug, she still breathed, but barely. Her heartbeat was gone, so I continued to keep her preserved. Using my latest elixir in hope to kill the disease has failed. I am near lost. Perhaps if I use a live, healthy subject, yes, one far from death, a silver, they are only slaves, and can perhaps give me what I need to proclaim a cure. I have the funds to purchase a few, and to use them perhaps no. He taps his quill against the wood mindlessly, his vision blur in and out, his mind drifts into sleep. Elias wakes from his slumber, started by the city clock. Still in his lab, he searches the dark room, his eyes adjusting to the darkness. Is that the time? He mumbles, looking at his stopwatch. The time past midnight. His storm gray eyes, bloodshot and dry. He closes his books and packs his bags quickly. Elias yawns and closes the laboratory door, locking it in the night. A thought comes to the doctor's mind as he walks down the street towards his flat. He perhaps may request assistance from a witch, a doctor of sorts in their own right, he supposes. With herbs and elixirs rumored to keep Zahid at bay, or even lessen the pain of the cruel, torturous death, Elias pauses a moment, hesitant. His mind is determined to rid the world of Zahid. He turns down the street, heading towards the Dalia River, further away from his home. Street lamps light up the sidewalks and pavements. The doctor finds himself walking along the deprived alleyway. He pauses at the corner and sees gentlemen of his father's board and fellow doctors. Elias watches from a distance as each man sneaks down to the bridge that connects to the city Tisdale, a city of lust and depravity, girls of the night, vampires, demons, and lowly creatures. Elias takes a moment to consider going down to the cesspool of the Red City. In a haze of exhaustion, he convinces himself to go for research and supplies. He pulls up his collar and tips his hat to mask his face. Elias hunches over and uses the knife to become unrecognizable to any familiar faces. Elias rushes through the dimly lit alley and streets of Tisdale. He bumps into a young woman and knocks her down to the ground. He drops his briefcase, and with a splash of mud or sewage perhaps, it stains his shoes. "I am sorry, miss. Are you alright?" Elias asks, reaching down to help the girl up from the wet puddle. "I am fine, you fool. Get off me," she hisses, knocking his hand away. She stands up and glares at him through large amber-colored doe eyes. Any nicknick? He thinks. Her unusual and earthly beauty takes him by surprise. A dark elf? She pushes past him, patting her skirts along the way, cursing under her breath. Elias turns to see her quickly round the corner and disappear into the shadows. Only for a moment, his cheeks flustered and bright red, and he cannot help but smile. He gathers his thoughts, his focus back towards the witch doctor. Elias continues quickly down the alleyway. He reads the signs that lead deeper and deeper into the red district. Elias starts to tremble under his calm exterior, and his palms are wet from sweat. He clears his throat and straightens his coat. The young doctor bites his lip, the sweat beading down his forehead. He was new to this type of magic. Perhaps it was unwise to ask assistance from a witch. What if she curses him beside, leaving him helpless and unable to cure himself? All his life, he only spent it with creatures of the Ivory Veil, fays, Kreetik, and soul keepers, and even humans. He shakes his head again and wipes the sweat from his brow. The streets of Tisdale barely lit each corner, as women of the night led and entertained the gentlemen paying for their affections. Elias turns left down another alley, pitch black, with only a small area is illuminated by fire lamps every half mile. A sign above is barely visible until just below. It is a broken board with a cauldron carved into the wood with smoke. "This must be it," Elias whispers. His hands start to shake, and he opens the door and lets himself in. "Hello, is there anyone here?" he asks, the doorway entrance pitch black, with only the moonlight shining light against the jars of strange foreign specimens and the moldy wooden shelves they sat upon. No answer. "Hello, my name is Elias Tavington. I have come to purchase herbs that could help with a cure for Zide. If you only have but a moment." "Yes, dearie." "Marquise Tavington, heir to the Solian Crick's house of Upper." A small hunchback elderly woman enters. Elias takes a step back from the witch and checks each side of him before setting his eyes firmly on the woman. "Yes, madam, that is my name. I only wish to produce medical herbs that could help in saving the lives of our countrymen," Elias replied, his ivory skin starting to bead with sweat. His eyes watched the hunchback gaze at him with milky film eyes. Her nose wrinkled before she turned on her bony heels. The skin on her vein-aged arms dangle and sway with each step, and her eyebrows are as sharp as her spine. She reaches over to pick and choose herbs that seem to be what is in them. She says something in a foreign tongue. The vials glow red, yellow, and then purple, and then the glow settles. He stands tall and stares down at the witch, and after a long moment, the old witch chuckles to herself, suddenly chills down Elias's spine. What has possessed me to come here? He swallows hard. A bony finger settled on the 3 distinct bottles of herbs that she has enchanted. One ivory, almost like a silk rose, with many thorns poking out at its stem. The second is an indigo color and chalk-like substance, like it is crushed leaves. And the last bottle is an unusual color of sky blue, yet it appears covered in gray clouds, with what seems like lightning dancing amongst clouds. Elias is amazed by the 3 vials. His briefcase sway beneath his grip, and the witch turns to him. Here, Prisnick, this should assist you in your research, the witch says, handing each one to the doctor, and he swiftly and carefully places the vials in his briefcase. She stares at him for a moment before she limps over to him, searching his eyes, a single tooth showing from her bottom lip. The witch stops right in front of Elias. He raises an eyebrow, confused. He steps back. She catches him in a strong claw grip. He gasps, and she slices his flesh with her long, sharp nail, drawing blood. She places the liquid on her tongue, and her eyes grow wide. She starts to shake and giggle with glee, mumbling something in a foreign language. One Elias could not place. Ma'am? Elias's voice shakes as he tries to get the witch's attention. Her gaze, hypnotic, snaps back to him. She smirks. Kersnick, take this 4th potion of rose vines and age Asmilla wine. He will acquire it, the witch says. Before Elias can ask another question, the old witch proceeds to place her clammy cold palms upon his wrist and shove him out of her store. Her eyes shift colors. He stumbles over his feet, while the witch continues to nudge and push him into the alleyway. Outside, the witch looks stunned and confused. He adjusts his spectacles and straightens his jacket. Thank you, he says, raising his eyebrow. An enormous cloud forms over the doctor's mind. He turns back to see her, a dark grin plastered upon her wrinkled skin. Elias stands silent for a moment before he runs his fingers through his dark black hair. The doctor gathers himself and begins to walk up the alleyways, twisted in dark roads. Light comes into view from a distance and leads him to the main road towards Upper. Thank you, Princess, but I am done for the night. If you would excuse me, please. A girl's voice says around the block, followed by a brute's voice catching Elias's attention. Elias's heart starts to pound beneath his chest. He knows he is no fighter. However, his feet did not allow him to leave. His body, although exhausted, continues forward. If I cannot sacrifice myself for others, how am I to save them? With a deep breath, he places his bag down and hides it behind a large rock. The doctor then turns the corner to make his way over to the couple in a quarrel. Liza sees the girl try to push the man away. As the brute continues to pester and force himself upon her, as their conversation turns to a bicker and then screams. The man shoves the girl against the wall with a force so strong it cracks the brick behind her, bruising her shoulders and back. She cries out in pain, her right hand holding her shoulder, the pressure dulling the seeing pain. Pulling back tears, she bites her lip, her eyes searching for an escape. The hulking man before her snatches her right arm, tightening his hold. "You're hurting me, Crassus," she begs, biting her teeth at the pain. "Excuse me, miss, but I believe I am late in escorting." "Sir Crassus, is that you?" Elias's voice trails off. The voice raises an eyebrow, snatches her arm away from the predator of a man. Crassus quickly scrambled to gather himself. The older doctor, surprised to see his past student and the son of Duke Tavington. "Hi, young Tavington, what brings you down here?" the half-giant replies, his hulking eyes wavering between the young doctor and the girl. "As you can see, Elias and I are fine. There's a bit of a lover's quarrel," he slurs, holding his hand out for the girl. She sneers, her chestnut-colored curls bouncing off her round shoulders. The girl leans into Elias. She presses hard against his arm with her large chest. Her refusal to go to the man has him furious. Elias stands stone-necked, not saying a word, as he watches the man back away, only to regain some cognitive thought. Through his drunken state, the girl puts her head up. Her hypnotic amber eyes hold Elias with suspicion, and she raises her eyebrows and wrinkles her nose. He speculates it is because she chose to hide behind him. "Rosalina," the older man commands through gritted teeth. "No," she replies, not allowing the drunk half-giant to approach her. She continues to use the doctor as a shield against the brute. Crassus continues to hold his hand out for the girl to take. Each second she refuses, he grows more irrational. Elias watches the vein upon the half-giant's forehead strain. Elias senses the frustration and rage growing with each pass, teacher and mentor, and it is no secret that a giant's rage could become violent, even that of a half-giant. And still the doctor refuses to allow the girl to be taken by the drunkard. "Sir, I do believe the girl has made her point. She does not wish to leave with you," Elias says after a few moments. Crassus pulls his hand back. His nostrils flare, and a vein protrudes from his forehead. "Very well. Have a good night, my little pearl," Crassus says, his eyes bloodshot. He takes his leave as Elias and Rosalina. The alley is quiet. Elias and Rosalina stand beside each other in silence, her arm still holding tight to his forearm. The doctor feels his heart slow and then quicken as the girl's soft fingers clench onto his wrist. "Are you all right, miss? I am sorry I never caught your name." Elias finally speaks after a moment of silence. With a wide smile, the girl begins to laugh, and his cheeks start to flush and heat up again. "I am Rosalina, sir," she replies through grin teeth, her eyes glowing. No man would do that for a lowly night girl. "It would be ungentlemanly if I had allowed you to be hurt further by Crassus." Elias's cheeks start to burn, taking his arm from her chest, turning her around to check the bruises. He rubs his fingers gently across the large purple and blue contusions. "Here, I have some ointment to assist to stop the bruising," he says, opening his briefcase and searching for his ointment. She shakes her head. Quickly, Rosalina shrugs him off. She turns to face the doctor, and with caution, she shields her face with her hair. Eliza spots a small swelling under her left eye. He starts to burn and tremble under his calm demeanor. A doctor was to heal and help others, not abuse and hurt them. Does he do this often? He asks, clenching his fist. His own bruises throbbing at the pressure. She nods. He should know better. A doctor is to heal others, not harm them, he continues, rubbing a bit of the ointment on the bruises. His fingers brush gently against her cheek, his heart pounding hard against his chest. Oh, Francis has been a client of mine for a long time. He would have drunkenly fallen asleep on my cot. He has always fancied my company. He just doesn't like sharing my company, Rosalina says, brushing off the seriousness that starts to fill the air. Elias stands tall above her. If he so chose, he could place his chin upon the top of her head. The thought brought a smile to his face. Somehow she is indifferent. This girl somehow made him feel warmth and comfort. The ladies of the court and high society are spoiled and selfish. Elias could never marry them, so he chose to remain alone. The doctor imagines taking her in his arms, gently removing the stray hair from her face before he bends down to kiss her. The thought of pressing his lips to her sets a fire in him. He never was one to think of romance, let alone a romance with a woman such as Rosalina. A lower-class beauty, and that surely would not understand his world. Why then will he not break his thoughts of stealing a kiss from her? Elias for a short moment wanted to speak with her more and put his heavy heart at ease from his failures. Please, will you give me a minute more of your time, Miss Rosalina? Elias asked, grabbing her arm and pulling her back into his chest, his eyes holding hers. He did not want her to leave. He feels drawn to her, as if she had been in his heart all along. An urge, no, an impulse of his soul feels compelled to hold her tighter. The girl stares back at him, unsure of his thoughts. She winces before she knits her eyebrows together. Rosalina relents and sighs, nodding her head. I guess it would be alright if I gave you just a moment, but nothing else. Do you hear me? Yes, I understand. Rosalina is a beautiful name. Who gave it to you? Elias asks, placing his hand on her cheek. Soft, the touch. He feels her skin burn under his fingers. She fluttered her eyelashes, her cheeks and nose turning deep pink. A woman of the night is flustered by his touch. It brings a small smile to Elias's face. My father, the girl replies, taking a step back from his sudden embrace. Might I be able to see you again, Rosalina? The girl laughs and scans him through her smile. After a moment, she answers. Only if you pay. Eliza stares blankly at her words. It is a joke. Perhaps I shall see you tomorrow. I have a performance at a wealthy estate. And Crassus mentioned something of you being a duke, perhaps. You will be there? Oh. Elias cocks his head to the side, his brain ticking. Nothing of importance will come to mind. What event? It is for a customer of mine. He says I would make for a wonderful formal entertainment, whatever that means. Well, sir, I shall be off, Rosalina replies, and with an awkward curtsy, the girl rushes off, disappearing into the darkness. Checking the time, it was 2:30 a.m. Eliza feels his heart jump into his throat. Quickly, he gathers his belongings and makes his way through the city of Tisdale, crossing the bridge over the Delia River. The clock begins to move quicker with each step the doctor made towards his flat. The walk is so long and tiring. Taking his keys from his coat pocket, Elias opens his door to emptiness. He stands for a moment, staring at the blackness of his home. Nothing. The doctor lets out a sigh, feeling his eyes begin to swell at the overwhelming silence of his life. An image enters his head of Rosalina sitting at the fireplace, smiling at him, and he begins to yawn for that warmth, the comfort of holding her tight against his body. But he was too busy, consumed with the work, to be the first to find a cure, to be Esses and his fellow doctors for success, and to bring the country peace. So he pushes any thought of romance from his head as he enters his flat, opening one of his books on disease and cures. Elias burns a candle and starts to read and study the work of other scientists and doctors of earlier times, one of which has succumbed to died within the year. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Wolfnick10, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. How are you doing today? You know, I should really invest in a bookmark. Oh, before I forget. Okay, and we are also gonna do this as well when I find the channel. I cannot find the channel. Hold on, how many folders do I have here? Bob. And I think the Twitter announcement already went out already on Discord. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I noticed her chapters don't actually say chapters. That's okay. So, chapter 2. Engagement party. Upper City, 1820. The light breaks through the curtains of Elias's flat. His candle has burned out in the midst of his studying. His eyes were heavy, with black circles underneath. Clumbing at his exhaustion, he found himself in and out of sleep. Eliza takes no notice of the day slipping by. The sun rises high into the sky at noon, slowly sets past 3. Eliza's front door opens and a young man enters the flat. He is a tall young man with sandy blonde hair and ocean blue eyes. He scans the messy apartment. Books are scattered across the wooden floor, notes pinned to the wall, while plates and cups are stacked up high in the kitchen. The young man sighs, rubbing his temple. He moves through the filthy home and opens another door. Peeking inside, he smirks, relieved to find that his friend found some rest. He shuts the door softly before the man steps through more piles of clothes and paper mixed together. Trending back to the kitchen, he opens a cabinet, taking a glass from its place, and he examines the crystal. With another sigh, tosses it into the third pile of dirty clothes, saving it from shattering. At last, a clean glass! He shouts. He stops, listening for the doctor to wake up, but nothing. He continues searching the kitchen, finding what he was looking for. Aged brandy, unopened, and with that, the man opened the bottle and poured himself a glass. Walking over to Elias's office, he opens the door to find him still asleep. Drooling stains the table. The man rolls his eyes and kicks the doctor over, waking him. The doctor's eyes are wide and frantic as he reaches for the desk swiftly, avoiding an embarrassing fall. What in the heavens? Elias exclaims, finally seeing his childhood friend leaning against the wall, his brandy in hand, sipping it casually. Elias narrows his eyes. Good afternoon, Elias. The man chuckles. By the saints, Abel, would you not allow me a moment to sleep in peace? And is that my brandy from my great-grandfather? Unbelievable. Come now, Elias. You and I both know that you would not be drinking it anytime soon. And today is a day to celebrate of sorts. Abel swirls the brown liquid around before taking another sip. His sandy blonde hair is tied back in a proper ponytail, with ocean blue eyes to capture the hearts of many women. The playboy of Upper, Abel, held no shame for the many broken hearts he has warmed his bed with. What is it that we are celebrating? And so early in the morning you drink? Eliza pours himself a glass of water, shaking his head and glaring at his childhood friend. Abel sucks in his breath before laughing, his eyes checking the clock. Oh, old friend, it is my engagement party to the second most influential family in Upper, the granddaughter to David Hargreaves, the elegant and beautiful Victoria Hargreaves. You're sure to remember the little vixen. Abel rolls his eyes, pouring another glass. I completely forgot. Abel, truly I am sorry. Eliza runs her fingers through the knot in his ebony hair. Abel looks around the flat, a mess with papers and obviously failed formulas. Abel's heart tightens with guilt. He senses the weight of sorrow and misery that consumes his best friend. With the hopelessness that begins to surround Elias, no celebration will lift his spirits. Not until Elias finds the cure for this demonic plague. And now is the cure coming to pass, Elias? I see you barely sleep as it is. Abel says, his eyes narrowing. His voice is low, frustration and worry starting to build behind his mischievous demeanor. Elias looks up from the mess on his table, unable to meet Abel's gaze. The doctor knew Abel would not understand, not fully, and thus he did not wish to bother his friend with unnecessary details. I was able to produce some special herbs that could perhaps give us a cure to this plague. I also sleep fine. It is when you come barging into my home that you make my mind uneasy. Eliza shoots back. And now, what time is the engagement party? Abel shakes his head and points to the pendulum clock ticking on the wall. Eliza's face pales and his eyes widen as he notices the time. 4 o'clock. Oh, no, Raj, it has already started. Abel chuckles, pouring more brandy. Eliza begins to panic. Rushing to his closet, they stumble and trip over the piles of laundry to find a suitable suit. He finds a simple black suit with a gray undershirt. He fixes his hair and adjusts his spectacles, and grooms his eyebrows. You do know that you do not need to panic. I assure you, no one will even notice. If not, it is not like myself to be late to my own party. Abel assures, handling Eliza's a glass of brandy, praying it would calm his friend's nerves. Without a moment to spare, Eliza drinks the brandy. He squeezes his eyes shut as the burning sensation goes down his throat. The doctor stares at his reflection, his dark hair pulled back, his broad shoulders and back standing straight, and his black suit with one single touch of a hat. Abel nods in agreement. Now, good doctor, our coach awaits for us bachelors, Abel jokes, placing his arm around Eliza's neck. Oh, I did forget to mention, I must pick up the entertainer. She is meeting us at the bridge. Abel laughs, staring at Eliza's face go white. The coach driver takes his instructions with ease, taking the men down the bridge towards Tisdale, raising his eyebrows. Eliza turns to his friend, suspicious. At the end of the bridge, a young girl stands waiting. Her chestnut brown hair is curled, kissing past her shoulders. That is half pulled back with a tape-colored ribbon. Her gown is fancy, with emerald bows at the hips of the corset, and colors of ivory and green butterfly patterns decorating the skirts. A gift from Abel. Rosalina? Eliza whispered, as the coach stops and the driver gets down and opens the door, taking her hand and assisting her in. Her bruises are concealed by thick makeup. Rosalina looks up through thick black lashes, her eyes finding Eliza's gaze. She looks away, her cheeks and nose turning that adorable pink. Eliza smiles, gazing at her and memorizing her features. It is good to see you again, sir, she says, her voice soft. Abel looks between the two of them, a smile crossing his lips. You two have already met? Now, that is suspicious of you, Elias. Where have you been hiding this beauty? Abel teases. I assure you, Abel, it is not like that. She is simply aiding me in my quest for finding Earth's secure side. Elias lies, crossing his legs and turning his attention out the window, only sparing short glances at the girl. What of you? How do you know Miss Rosalina? Elias asks. Oh, I just happened to make acquaintance with beautiful, talented women, Elias, unlike you. Abel chuckles, his eyes find Rosalina's. Elias turns his attention back toward Rosalina, ignoring his friend's sudden shift. The doctor studies her beauty in the daylight. Her honey brown skin, undamaged, her eyes round with long lashes that emphasize her large doe eyes. Her lips are full and perfect, and her cheeks have blush, a deep rose color. A dark elf. No, she has human qualities. Could she be half-elf? Eliza thinks as he continues to gander at the girl. Is there something the matter, sir? Rosalina asks, noticing the doctor's stare. I apologize. I was just appreciating your beauty. Forgive my bluntness, but are you a half-elf? Eliza asks. She nods, turning away. Her attention shifts. Abel holds back a laugh as he takes Rosalina's hands in his and begins to rehearse with her proper words and what to call Elias and himself in the company of others. The girl's eyes shift from Abel. Falling once more upon the doctor, she smiles. The coach approaches Parkivius Manor, built deep in the middle of the city. Their land is vast and rich, with gardens that are filled with roses and tulips and other foreign beautiful flowers. As the carriage approaches, there is a large golden encrusted gate that opens to the property. The pavement going towards the home is surrounded by enormous ledges, mazes, and a beautiful white marble fountain. Rosalina takes notice of the beautiful crystal, an ivory porcelain woman standing in the middle of the fountain, her eyes made of a perfect amethyst crystal. The statue is holding her hands out, floating in her palms, a circle of pure white. Eliza notices Rosalina staring in awe at the fountain and its statue. He smiles before he takes her hand in his. That is Princess Lilith, first daughter of the Granic line. She was so pure that it is said that in her death she did not decay. Eliza says. Oh, I had no idea, Rosalina replies, her amber eyes soften, focus ahead, her heart pounding as Eliza's fingers rub her knuckles. As they got closer to the entrance of the mansion, her heart rate increases. She bites the inside of her cheek and begins to fidget in her seat. Abel places his arm around her shoulders, laying his chin on top of her head. Eliza raises an eyebrow. He starts to say something, but stops. Rosalina calms down, her hand still in Eliza's, her body acting on its own, not wanting to let go. They stop. Abel sighs before he forces a big smile. How do I look? Abel asks. Like a man about to die, Abel says. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Vector, are you still here? Hello, let me give you your shout out. Get a shout. Does everything have to be all capitals? Oh. Alright. Welcome in, readers. I am Tatiana Digiko. I am the High Queen of Cyberspace. We mainly do ASMR reading and writing streams, but we also do the occasional gaming streams as well. Today we are reading my friend's novel, Beneath a Moonless Sky. Oh, nice! Thank you so much. How was your stream? What did you guys do? Let me just... Yeah, okay. Book, yeah, okay. So I have the page I left off on. Okay. Ah, nice! Also a fellow reader! So, actually, hold on. Let me give you a follow, actually. I love, like, other people who do reading and writing streams. And let me just scroll up a bit, see if I missed anything. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Okay, I don't think I missed anything. And by any real reading, you met with the 3 Dio, right? And what's the Invisible Man about? I don't recognize the name of that story. And let me try this. Okay, so I can see. There we go. So I can see chat. See, Invisible Man, constant time trying to figure out how to make himself be not. Ah, gotcha. Well, it sounds like sounds like a wonderful story to read. I'll have to check it out another time. It's been going good so far. We just got through chapter 1. We are starting chapter 2. Ooh, Dracula, I haven't read that one. I actually was planning on reading that one, probably after this one. Or I might start with, Mystery Island. Yeah, so this story isn't that long. It's like 22 chapters. So I'm hoping to get through at least the first 5 chapters today. And maybe like within the next couple weeks, we could probably get the story done. But yeah, the classic stories, yeah. I love reading a lot of those. I do read a fair share of my Sherlock Holmes. So I do planning on doing a bunch of those. We did finish Treasure Island as well. So that was a really good story. I actually like that one a lot. It's really different from like the actual movie, but like it was very enjoyable and very interesting. And I think we also briefly read the Grimm fairy tales as well. Oh yeah, I absolutely love detective stories too. Oh yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. I think I do have a book that has all his poems and stories, like in one book. I just don't know where it is at the moment. Probably somewhere in a box somewhere. But I do eventually want to read that. And then I believe I also have Alice in Wonderland, and then I also have like Moby Dick, like the original classic books. It's like one of those collector edition, like it's like a 12 book set with like all the classic stories. I have to dig those out one of these days. Oh yeah. I think I do recall briefly reading that like a while ago. I actually don't remember it. Let me let's add this to my list of stories I will read on stream. Okay. It's like there's so many stories I want to read on stream eventually. I should probably start making an Excel sheet or something. All right. Well, Dr. Duran, thank you so much for the raid. And I would love to talk with more stories with you sometime. And please, if you do need to get water, if you do need like to step away from the computer and eat something, please do so. You deserve it. Okay, so we will be continuing where I left off. Let me just find it. I think I was in the dialogue area. Okay, yeah. How do I look? Abel asks. Like a man about to die, Eliza says, and Rosalina giggles. That is just rude. Come on, Lena, tell me the truth. Eliza is right. You look foolish. Here, fix your hair, and don't smile so wide. Rosalina replies, shifting a laugh as she combs Abel's hair back. As they stop, the driver opens the door for the trio. They all enter the mansion. Rosalina is taken aback by its beauty. The inside of the enormous house is decorated in fine crystals and sapphires, with aquariums in each room with a rare and exotic fish, illuminating from the tank with small, intricate lights made of fey magic. Eliza walks through the doorways, first holding Rosalina's hand in his arm. Following close, Abel enters behind. Entering the May ballroom, they are met with hundreds of earls, countesses, even marquises, and viscounts of the upper society pederasty. Each dressed in the latest of fashion, the men wearing fashionable tailcoats made of somber colors, such as black, green, and a deep blue, with silk cravats tied at their necks in cream pantaloons. The women wore gorgeous partial empire-style gowns of silk and velvet, their sleeves puffed and prime, and their skirts wide and exuberant. Rosalina felt herself begin to feel out of place and out of style. Though Abel tried, it seemed as though he was a decade behind in fashion for ladies. The women were broken into groups, some of the higher class than others, each clique more ruthless than the last. Whispers echoed loud in Rosalina's ears as they gossiped and mocked her simple country girl style. Rosalina sinks into Eliza's arms, her fingers digging into his forearm. Eliza gazes down at her. He places her hand over hers and squeezes gently. The room's wall shimmer with clear beads like raindrops. Above them, the high ceilings is painted with clouds and stars, with soul keepers and guardians fighting. Sargraf and his generals. The likeness of the dark creatures is painted in black, like shadows. Their only distinct features, their eyes. One pair stands out to Rosalina, yellow eyes with red rims hunting. She presses herself closer to Elias. In the middle of the painting hangs on enormous chandeliers made of ivory tusk, gemstones, and diamonds. A soft melody plays in the background as a famous elven pianist plays a romantic song, slow and sweet. More musicians enter and set up their instruments as the guests chatter among their respective groups, doctors befriending lawyers, and high artists making acquaintances with the ladies of their respectable families. The curtains are pulled back to let the moonlight shine through, reflecting off the marble cream floor. Rosalina is filled with amazement and surprise as she gasps at the beauty of the house. Her knees buckle under her weight. It takes her a moment before she realizes how steady she was. As Elias holds her tight, like a structure made of stone and strength she had not felt since her father. A memory of the ocean and lush green forest passed through her mind before she quickly put them back into the depths of her brain. She did not realize that Elias was watching her with curiosity and concern. "Are you all right?" he whispers, his head kept straight. She clutches tight to his arm before nodding, her heart beating fast and her cheeks flushed. Not one for being shy, Rosalina hated herself for a moment, realizing she's no longer of this world. She is of the underworld and night. A moth that is hidden away from the demon that haunts her dreams. "Yes, just amazed at the beauty of this house," Rosalina replies. Elias squeezes her hand with reassurance. The room begins to fill quickly, with the elite pouring through the doors, excited to welcome the new Earl of the Hargreaves family. Elias continued to glance through his peripheral vision at the girl beside him, a smile falling on his lips, a moment of warmth running through him. Abel watches his friend relax. It is as if a jolt of happiness shot through Elias, as if he had finally found something more to life than science and medicine. Abel excuses himself, leaving the two alone at their table, drinks in hand. "I did not know you knew Abel. Was he, not to be rude?" Elias asks, feeling his cheeks turn red. Watching him, Rosalina chuckles. "No, he and I have been friends since his parents sent his sister to my workhouse. He visits every week to assure that she is treated well," she answers. Elias feels the weight lift from his heart, knowing that the half-elf and his friend never knew each other intimately. He places his hand over hers impulsively. The blood rushes to his cheeks. Elias notices how small Rosalina's hands are compared to his own, soft to the touch. It was as though she did not know hard labor. He cannot help but to gaze into her eyes, fully and utterly captivated by her amber eyes, like sunlight and fire burning deep inside his own heart. He yawns to know more about this woman. A voice in the crowd broke the two apart. The doctor recognized the voice, and he steadies himself. Evelyn, darling, I believe our son has finally shown himself to our social circle once more. And look, he's brought a friend. A man's voice echoes behind Elias's and Rosalina's. With a quick squeeze of his arm, Rosalina nods at him with assurance, not wishing to alarm anyone of her place. A beauty at that. Oh dear. Did it. I don't know how to say this name. Jedediah? Okay, yeah, so this is Jedediah. Okay. Oh dear, Jedediah, there is no need to embarrass him as such. Evelyn replies, embracing her son tightly. The woman has a gentle smile. Her red hair is pulled back and pinned with a fashionable hat with feathers to match her yellow gown. Her storm gray eyes, like her son's, hold a hint of demonic caress. Rosalina swallows the lump in her throat hard and wipes the moisture from her brow. Evelyn gazes at the half elf and smiles. Mother and father, allow me to introduce Miss Rosalina, Eliza says, shaking his father's hand. Don't fret, dear. Abel has told us that she is tonight's entertainment. Evelyn replied with a wide smile. Your father and I are just so ever glad to see you out of that lab of yours, and socializing yourself. Evelyn continues, kissing her son's cheek. Elias turns his attention back towards the young woman, surprised that she was there for entertainment. Rosalina, I did not know that. I am here to sing. That is all. You look so flustered, Doctor. The girl giggles, taking a sip of wine. Across us a man, a half-giant wearing similar clothes as the rest of the men. Only he dons more gold than silver. His hair is styled back, and his sideburns groomed to perfection. A cravat shimmered with jewels and crystal. His ambition in miracle medicines once saved thousands of lives nearly 25 years ago, when a sickness of the mind caused mass hysteria in the country. During the crisis, men, women, and children alike will begin to see each other as pure demons, causing them to murder their wives and children without mercy. It even affected the queen, and it was her process cure that saved the queen, and he gained the respect of the nobles. Before Elias graduated from school, Crassus was the young Krasnik's teacher and mentor, and now they are rivals, both men racing to be the first to find a cure for Zide, and perhaps now in love. He is dressed in a navy blue suit. He stops in mid-conversation, spotting Rosalina's dress as if she were a proper lady. Crassus continues to watch Rosalina and Elias. An inch of jealousy starts to rise in him. He loathes the thought of her smiling at Elias, yet she continues to do so. Whore. Through his jealousy, Crassus still cannot help but to gander at the girl. His infatuation with her controls most of his days. Ignoring his fellow governor, the half-giant pours a second glass of wine before he straightens his cravat. "My dear Crassus, are you listening, sir?" An elderly man asked, the giant's attention lost. The chatter slowly stops as the lights begin to dim and the gas focus on the front of the room. A large staircase that takes up half the floor. The guests watch as an enchantingly beautiful young girl enters from the top. She is draped in the finest blues and grays silks. Her dark hair is curled and pulled back in a formal bun, decorated with pearls and sapphire, with only 2 or 3 strands of loose curls kissing her pale cheeks. Abel appears at the foot of the staircase, bended knee and a ring in his hand. "Victoria Hargreaves, you are the most beautiful woman in all of Upper. I am but a lowly man who only wishes to love you day and night," Abel says, kissing her hand. Victoria smiles, with a blush upon her cheek. The crowd is silent while Abel places the gold band upon her slender, pale finger. Applause echoes across the room. Victoria's piercing purple eyes catch Eliza's among the crowd. She holds back the look of disappointment. Instead, she gazes down at her betrothed. Taking Abel by the hand, Victoria pushes her way past the crowd, found herself at Abel's. Okay, I see a typo. Herself at Abel's and Eliza's table. Her happiness at the engagement only a show for her mother, a stern woman of an older age. Victoria had only ever wanted to marry Elias since she had first laid eyes on him many years ago at her cousin's engagement party. Only he had turned down the proposal the girl's mother had sent. "Sir Elias, it has been so long since I have seen you. What has become of yourself, Doctor?" Victoria asked, attempting to hide her blush. She moves a fan to hide her smile. Victoria lightly brushes her fingers against Elias's knuckles, circling his long fingers. She licks her lips, still hidden behind the fan. The doctor moves his hand from her touch, placing his hand around Rosalina's shoulders. A tinge of embarrassment and anger rose in the newly engaged Duchess. Abel chuckles, and Victoria glares at him. Elias has always been sought after by the Hargreaves family for his own ancient lineage, but the good doctor had no interest in marriage, at least not to a spoiled fae such as Victoria. "I have been working on a cure for desire, so one so lovely as yourself would be spared of his hideous, infectious claws," Eliza replied, moving Rosalina's hand closer to him. Abel rolls his eyes at his fiancé's insulting flirtation with another man in front of him. He takes another glass of wine, throwing a sly smile toward Rosalina as he offers his arm to her. Rosalina raises an eyebrow and cocks her head to the side. "My darling Victoria, Elias, please allow Rosalina and myself to excuse ourselves while you two catch up. Take care of my fiancé, Elias, or I shall have your head, sir," Abel jokes, taking Rosalina's arm. Abel escorts Rosalina away from the hungry ears of guests longing for gossip. His eyes darkened when they were far enough away from the party. In the corner of a small smoke room, it is quiet. She knows exactly what was going to ask before he even spoke. It had been 2 years since they had met. It did not take long for them to bond like brother and sister. It was days after Mary had been sent to the brothel. that Abel was manic, his demands of freeing his sister falling on the madam's deaf ears. The strict orders of their father, Claude Gaspertine, a soul keeper of high rank in the royal army, and cousin to the royal Roth of Kindred. He is the highest commander of the Masses army. No one would defy his orders, especially a lowly whore. So Abel would visit often, paying for his sister, protecting her the best he could from the hungry clients. Rosalina knew his heart broke with each passing day that his sister was away from his protection. So the half-elf would often seduce Mary's clients, adding more work to herself, protecting Mary further. The noblewoman had only known one man, and it was the man that had gotten her son to the brothel, and himself executed. Or so the rumors said. Though the rumors were false, the man was no human, low-born, but a silver, the lowliest creatures in all the Pretear. It was he that Rosalina would allow. It would be the only protection that either Abel or Rosalina could truly provide, yet the question could still be asked. How is Mary, Rosalina? Is she well in the house? Abel asked, his blue eyes focused and fierce, a serious tone the girl was familiar with. Mary has been ill these past few nights, the girl answers, looking up at the man. Tall and lean, so handsome most girls would be falling at their knees at the mere sight of him. Her lover passed a week ago, and was died. Rosalina finishes. Is she infected with the demonic curse? Abel asks, his voice shaken. Rosalina shakes her head. The wise woman says it is not die, so we should not worry. Rosalina responds. Abel sighs with relief. That is good news. Will you give her a message for me, dear? Abel asks. The girl nods. Will you tell her I am investing in a flat for her near my estate? I will. Mary will be incredibly happy to hear it. She misses her brother very much. Rosalina replies, staring down at her wine, the finest wine she has tasted in years. It will surely be the last. Tell her I am sorry for her loss. I am sure she is heartbroken. And tell her I had convinced our father to bring her home. Abel stopped, staring intently at the half-elf, her ears turning red from the embarrassment. Rosalina knew Abel more than most. His heart was pure and kind. A woman such as Victoria would be grateful, but that was besides the point. Abel is like a man she once knew, a soldier and protector. Rosalina snaps back to reality, memories fading in and out. Abel's voice speaking to her in the distance. It takes the girl a moment to realize what he was proposing. If you wish, will you take a job as my sister's lady in waiting? I will pay you a reasonable wage, and you can live comfortably. Abel says. He stares deep into Rosalina's eyes, waiting for her answer. Abel, I am a girl from the streets. I won't make for a proper lady in waiting. Rosalina responds, leaning close into his shoulder. Besides, so long as Mary gets out safe, that is all that matters, eh? She laughs weakly. Rosalina knew that he is still worried. Luckily, a random guest appears before them, imposing himself between the girl and Abel. I must go, Abel. I was brought here to entertain the guests. She squeezes his hand gently. A tight smile on her lip, she vanishes into the crowd. Music begins to play. The magicians enter the room, and in a moment, Rosalina is with them. Abel is dragged away by the party guests, wishing to congratulate him and his rise into the second most influential family. With her cue, Rosalina stands in front of the pianist. She knew in her heart that a half-elf girl such as herself held no place here among the pure bloods and royalty. She closes her mind off all negative and begins to sing in her native elvish tongue. Some had studied the language, while others stood entranced by her foreign tongue. And Ducky, a villain, welcome in. How are you two doing today? To be forsaken by the gods and abandoned on strange lands, we would be that land. To be crawling from a wreck with only moonlight to guide me, you would be my light. Her voice echoes through the room, enchanted. Guests stop their mindless chatter to hear the girl sing. Alice, among the crowd, puts a hand up to silence Victoria, his heart beating fast beneath his chest, as his soul is compelled once again to be near. A yearning to hold her in his arms, to press his lips against her forehead and lips. Immortal, immortal, I have stolen a piece of the sky, so it will not steal out eternity. I will die for you. Rosalie finishes her song and opens her eyes to see the mansion's guests gather around her, all beguiled at her performance. Rosalina stands silent, unsure what to make of the sudden intrigue and sudden questions she was getting thrown. She did what she knew, what she was taught when she was left in discomfort: smile. Women of nobility began to surround her and question her friendship with the infamous Dr. Elias Tethington. Some are crude and tug at her oven ears that poke through her hair. She winces in pain, ducking away from the woman that continued to corner her. Her head starts to spin, and her eyes frantic as she attempts to find an exit, but the ladies are fast. They start to interrogate further, their faces blurring out as they begin to blend together. Rosalina feels her heart quicken and her hands shake. Rosalina is quick with another lie of the tongue, another sting of the heart. Darkness starts looming in her mind while she fights back the tears. My dear girl, could it be you? Crassus says, intervening in the girls' conversations, handing Rosalina a glass of wine. But Crassus, Rosalina says, his name sends a shiver down her spine. She moves back slowly, her thoughts racing. She would have rather continued to face the noble ladies. May I ask with you in private? Crassus says, sending the other woman away. Curiosity heavy on their faces. More whispers and gossip. Rosalina's eyes pleading for them to stay, but they disappear into the crowd. Drink, dear girl. I have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear for me. I merely wish to remark that you look stunning, almost like a true lady, except with pointed ears, of course. Crassus says, inching closer to the girl, placing his hand on her lower back, catching her as she trips over her gown. Mind your step, girl. Would not want that pretty dress stained with wine, the giant continues, his green eyes stuck upon her, his nose taking in her scent of a new perfume, perhaps of a flower he could not name. Thank you, sir. I should be heading back to Mr. Elias. I am his guest for the party. Rosalina picks her words carefully, trying to push past the half-giant. She is stopped by his muscular arm that wraps around her waist like a bow constrictor. His eyes darken as he pulls her closer into him. Her body begins to tremble beneath his fingers. Fear rises through her, and a flood of memories of the giant's touch. Aggressive and brutish, it reminds her of a creature. No, a demon, one that died at the hands of her father. She bites her lower lip and takes a deep breath and turns to Crassus, her eyes barely even with his chest. Gold locket, silver stitches of clothes, 3 buttons, 1 pocket kerchief. Her mind races, memorizing his clothes. Intricate as she does, and he pays for her nights. Rosalina, please, will you stay and talk with me? I wish to apologize for last night. It was unintentionally of me, and you are correct. I should not have drunk so much. Will you look at me, please? Crassus begs. Crassus begs, his gravelly voice penetrating through her mind. Obeying, Rosalina glares at him through thick lashes. I am Mr. Elias's guest for the party. I truly must be getting back to him before he begins to worry, Rosalina replies, denying his request. Crassus sneers, his grip tightening around her waist. He is a beast in the flesh of a man. His temper was little to be desired among the nobles. The party continues to grow. Nobles and entertainers shuffling by each other, the conversations of their day and of the wedding of the year between the Soul Keeper family of Betine and the Fae Hargreaves. Crassus sees Rosalina is annoyed. He tries rubbing his thumb against the small of her back, but she continues to push and fight him. A few potteries stare at the two with raised eyes. The half-giant assures that they are fine, and the two carriers nobles nod and leap to mingle with Abel and Victoria. He takes the opportunity of the growing party to drag Rosalina outside, her protest falling on deaf's ear, with his iron grip constricting around her arm. They pass the hallway as he continues to drag her to the alley. There, they are blocked from prying eyes. Let go of me, Crassus. What are you thinking? Rosalina hisses, slipping from his grasp quickly as she tries to rush past him. With his massive size and speed, he catches her once again and tosses her small frame against the brick wall. A yelp escapes her as she slides down to the ground, her arms bruised. You are mine, girl. Why can't you see that? I wish to give you this life, if you will only let me. Crassus kneels down, brushing his fingers against her face. Flinching away, Rosalina slaps his hand away. This is not how anyone shows love. If you wish to show me proper respect, then perhaps I would consider your proposal. Rosalina snaps, still fighting to push Crassus off of her. And let me just put this little marker right here for a moment. Ducky Villain, so nice to see the both of you. Hope both of your days went well. And I hope work was okay. I just realized I wasn't holding my book. And I need some more of my cornbread before I continue reading, actually.
Okay, so this story is getting intense, like, really fast. This is only chapter 2.
After Rosalina's performance, Elias attempts to get back to her, but she is quickly dragged around the party. After some time, he loses track of which group of elites had stolen his guests away. Finally, after an hour, Elias starts to search the rooms. No trace of Rosalina, and Abel is being dragged around the party. Victoria's voice calls for him in the distance of the crowd. A flash realization that Cressus was among the many guests at the party, and from what he had encountered last night, he would surely seek the half-elf. As Elias pushes himself through the crowd, he is stopped momentarily by the young Fae. I do beg your forgiveness, Lady Victoria. Please excuse me. I must go find my guest. Eliza stays, leaving the newly engaged woman alone. Once again, her face turns red. He searches each room that he would think that Cressus would take Rosalina to. Turning down the hall, he sees the front door open. Eliza talks outside, hearing Rosalina struggle off Cressus as he ignores her pleas. Elias follows their bickering to the alley, and he sees Cressus shoving the girl into his coat, his hands tugging at her dress. Angry, Elias rushes the giant, tackling him to the ground with a quick recover. Eliza takes the girl's hand and pulls her behind him. He shields her from Cressus. Damn Elias' son! Cressus laughs darkly. I promise. Rosalina and I were merely having a civil discussion how she is to be my wife. Cressus says and wipes the musk from his shirt. His forehead wrinkles as a vein appears to protrude. You must think me stupid. She would not dare marry a man such as yourself. Elias replies, his eyes narrow. Rosalina, has he harmed you in any way? Elias asks, not taking his eyes off Cressus, standing above him nearly 3 feet. Boy, move aside before I move you from her, Cressus threatens. He steps forward, rolling up his sleeves. Rosalina, run inside now. Eliza commands. Before she can react, Cressus punches the doctor, sending the clinic across the pavement. It knocks the wind from his lungs. Coughing, Eliza clutches his stomach, raising his head to stop Rosalina from running to him. He steadies himself. The girl's eyes are wide with worry. She gazes at Elias, his own eyes serious, as he spits to the ground. Power starts to emanate from him. His umbery hair starts to turn ash gray, and it swirls above his head. His gray eyes now coal black with hints of orange, like lava. Cressus laughs before he takes the half-elf in his grasp again, punching his enormous forehead. She begs for him to release her. Elias watches in horror. Cressus forces Rosalina to kiss him. Elias clenched his jaw, his teeth transformed into fangs. I will release you once you are mine, Cressus demands. Rosalina continues to struggle against the giant's strength, her protests and pleas falling on Death's ear, as Cressus locks his muscular arms around her waist. Elias stands silent, his jealousy rising. The doctor removes his jacket, his anger and fury transforming him into a full-fledged Krenek. He readies himself to fight his past mentor, or a woman he hardly knew. This will be interesting. You were never a fighter, Elias, Krenek laughs, cautious to watch with the now sharp claws on Elias's left hand. There was this first for everyone. Cressus snaps, his eyes narrow. Cressus smirks, tossing the girl to the ground. He prepares for Doctor's attack. Rosalina struggles to stand, her knees shaking as she steps between the two men, her heart pounding as Crassus once again throws her aside. Their appending fight only stopped by a frantic crash from the mansion. The silence between all three of them, broken by panicked screams. Alright, and that was the end of chapter 2. Well, shit is going down. Chapter 3. Experiment and Death. Elias's Lab, 1820. The mansion is in a full panic. A noble of the royal court suddenly succumbs to Zide, collapsing in the middle of the room. The noble first seemed to be fine, with a slight itch on the back of his neck. Then the itch started to burn and grow. His fingers scratching it raw, he was bleeding and then fell to the ground, his eyes rolling to the back of his head, as foam started to escape his mouth. Frantic, Abel surges through the crowd for Elias, the one physician unafraid to get into close proximity to the fallen and deceased. Elias enters the ballroom, his features back to normal. He pushes through the frightened men and women, Rosalina and Crassus close behind him. Abel spots his friend and rushes to his side, informing him of the dire situation. Abel, what has happened? Elias asks, as he places his hand upon his friend's shoulder to lean in close, so that he can hear Abel through the screams. Victoria stands frozen, her face as white as a ghost, as her father pulls her back from the sick man, her father yelling orders for their silver slaves to take his only child to safety. Rosalina stares at the Fae as she turns back to watch Elias. The half-elf knew the girl is filling with worry for the doctor. A tinge of her own jealousy creeps into her thoughts, wishing the noble Fae to become ill. No, why would I think such horrid thoughts? Rosalina feels her legs give out, but is caught by Crassus. She quickly shoves him off and runs to Abel and Elias. It is Matthew Danvers. He has fallen ill beside, Abel explains. Elias, serious, he turns his head back to Rosalina, assuring her safety before he replies to the scared Abel. Quickly then, take me to him, Elias demands. Abel nods in response, leading the doctor to the sick man. And no hesitation, Elias and Abel lift the body and move swiftly through the nobles, Rosalina on their heels, leaving a petrified Crassus alone in the shambles.
Ah! For a doctor, he's petrified that someone fell ill. God damn.
Some doctor he is. Elias feels her fingers tug a clench to his shirt. He spares one glance and saw the fear in her eyes. They were wide and filled with tears. The trio climbed in the closest coach and placed Matthew in, an elder of the Guardians' keep and cousin to the Queen. Elias wipes the sweat from the man's brow, his gaze falling on the man's neck, a black spore forming rapidly. The noble lifts the ill nobleman over his shoulders. As Elias orders the crowd to move, they listen. The ladies of the court fan themselves as their husbands clutch tightly to their shoulders. Rosalina scans the crowd, still holding tight to Elias. He pulls her into him, his eyes ahead as Lady Danvers collapses to the ground, her eyes red with tears. She calls out to them, her cries falling on deaf ears. Rosalina turns her head away from the tragic scene. They all scurry down the mansion steps. A few nobles lying outside to gander at the chaos. Victoria among them fan herself. She narrows her purple eyes as she sees the half-elf being held tight by Elias. Her cheeks turn red. Rosalina sees that the young woman escaped her father's servant. The elf ignores the daggers thrown her way. Elias lifts Rosalina in the front seat of the carriage, and it opens the door for Abel to place the noble in the seat. Following behind, Abel shuts the door and jumps next to Rosalina. Abel takes the rein, and with full speed, he races towards Elias's lap. The coach approaches the doctor's lab in record time. Abel swings the door open with incredible speed and lifts the critically ill nobleman over his shoulder. Rosalina watches petrified as Abel and Elias carry him up the steep stairs. Elias moves quickly in front of his friend, opening his door and finding his lab coat. Elias instructs Abel to place the man onto the silver table, doing as instructed. Abel gently places Sir Danvers down, watching and waiting for his next instructions. Close at the open door, Rosalie stands still, her eyes wide, her mind racing. The doctor is quick to cover the open sore with a herbal patch to keep the wound from festering further. His eyes shoot towards the frightened girl. Only for a moment does Elias feel sympathy for the half-elf. His drive for success for his last batch of a possible cure and drive to save the noble's life outweigh his desire to shield her from the horror. 3 vials are prepared and ready to experiment upon the dying man, Elias' ambitions clouding his judgment. His heart pounds hard, his ivory skin nearly translucent as he wipes the sweat from his brow and thinks of what he needs. He clenches his jaw tight before he lifts his head to the girl. Rosalina. In the back hall there is a large black cabinet. Go there and bring me 3 vials. One of the silver nectar, the other of the indigo flower, and the last yellow powder. Beside that, Abel, go to the kitchen and get the strawberry wine. A pause falls upon the room. Abel vanishes past the paralyzed woman and is quick to bring the wine. Damn it, the man's life is running out. Go, Rosalina. Elias shouts, taking the wine from Abel's ill hand. Startled and frozen in fear, Rosalina finally stumbles down the hall, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She frantically searches for the large cabinet Elias described. Abel vanishes. Hold on. I think I just said that. Hold on. Eliza shouts, taking the wine from Abel's hands. Startled and frozen in fear, Rosalina finally stumbles down the hall, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She frantically searches for the large cabinet Elias described. Finding it, she takes the vials quick and runs back to hand Elias the potions, and watches with bated breath at the familiar stench of death. She crinkles her nose. She turns her gaze away. Afraid and on the verge of tears, the girl clenched her arms tight. She leans into Abel for comfort, and he held her tight, rubbing her shoulders as they both watched the doctor. Elias is too consumed with the testing of the potion. It frightened both Abel and Rosalina. The air is filled with an unholy odor, stinging the nose of Rosalina and Abel. 4 minutes pass, and the man begins to calm. His fever starts to break, waiting with anticipation and prayers of success. Elias examines Danvers more closely, studying his body reaction to the elixir. Rosalina places her hand in Elias. They hold their breath for the cure. Suddenly, Danvers starts to vomit blood, his entire body convulsing uncontrollably. A nightmare to behold as Abel and Elias rush to hold the man down. His muscles going into shock, the blood pouring out of his nose and mouth. Horror stains Rosalina's face as some of the red liquid splashes her face. Elias, what should we do? Abel yells, panic rising in his voice, keeping his hands tight among the suffering man's shoulders. We can do nothing till his body calms itself. Rosalina, grab that wood piece on my mantle and place it in his mouth, so he does not bite his tongue off. Elias instructs the frightened girl. Her legs bulk Rosalina is unable to move for a moment, a flash of her father's death in her mind. Zayed had taken him just like this. Tears swell her vision, her lips quivering. Rosalina! Elias shouts for the fourth time, struggling against Denver's weight. She snaps back to the horror before her. She swallows hard and rushes to the mantel, taking the wood and shoves it between the man's teeth. Murdering prayers beneath her rapid breath. Elias, will he die? Rosalina asks. Her eyes are wide with terror and fear, her mouth hanging open. Anxiety fills the room as the man quiets, his breath shallow and then numb. Elias Hizzy, Abel's paused, a sweat beating down his brow, a sullen wave shadowing over them. Yes, clenching his fist, Elias replies, wiping the sweat from his brow. If only I could get that damn cure, the doctor shouts, slamming his fist down on the mantel table, smashing the vial, sending the shard of glass to the ground. His face is beet red with frustration and bitterness. Rosalina jumps back, her entire body shaking. It is not your fault, Elias. You did what you could to save him, Rosalina assures, stepping close to the angry doctor. She is hesitant at first, but ultimately takes his fist in her hands. Her heart's pounding beneath her chest as she gazes up at Elias. All his bitterness and anger disappears, but he opens his hand, intertwining it between hers, holding tight. Her touch is a blanket of comfort over his heavy heart. The many failed potions of death fade into the back of his mind. Her eyes are his hope, and her heart his muse. Rosalina is correct. Elias, now we know that the elixir stopped the spread for a moment. That is the closest anyone has ever gotten to a cure. Abel assures, squeezing Elias' shoulder before leaving the two alone. If only... Stop! You feeling sorry for yourself will not cure Zayed. You can only continue to fix this elixir and pray that it will erase this plague from our world. Rosalie interrupts the doctor, her hands still trembling. Eliza knows that she, and is concerned she may be ill. He places his hand upon her forehead. You are not feverish. Why are you shaky, Rosalina? Eliza asks, his eyes filled with worry. I am not used to this, the girl answers truthfully. Or at least, partly true. It has been many years since she had seen such horrors. Eliza's eyes widen, realizing his mistake. His ambition has risked the girl's life by just exposing her to this man's sickly body. Abel is behind her, his hand on her shoulders, his face pale and black circles under his eyes. Abel, is it best for you to check upon Ms. Hargreaves? Says, and Abel agrees. Yes, I do think that's wise. Rosalina, should I accompany you home? Abel asks. She shakes her head, hugging him tight before he leaves. She and Elias stand beside each other. Silence falls over them for a moment before the doctor turns to her. My apologies. Let us take a walk. Perhaps get some air and clear our head, shall we? Eliza says cautiously, placing his arm around her shoulders. She nods silently and lets him lead her out of the lab, turning back once more before closing the door behind his failed attempt to save another life. Yet again. The night air is full of smoke and iron from the recent industrialization of the New World, with small hints of firewood and pine. The couple walk by cafes and pubs, with the occasional theater shop. They stop at a pond. No word spoken between the two. Just silence and adoration for life. Eliza turns to Rosalina, a calm falling over him. Rosalina, will you wait here a moment? Elias asked, leaving her alone to purchase flowers from a drifter selling them. She returned within moments with a simple yellow tulip. Perhaps this is enough to show that you are special, Elias says, gazing into her eyes. You barely know me, she replies, taking the tulip with a smile. One does not need to know someone long to know that they are important to oneself. That's true. To be honest, that is really true. She says, taking her face in his hand. Rosalina stopped for a moment, her chest constructing the familiar feelings surrounding her, memories lost in his past, when she did not wish to relive in this lifetime. She watches Elias lean forward, and what of the kiss she imagined? Quick, the girl turns her face, allowing him only the slight of satisfaction, the kiss upon the cheek. Elias stopped, still holding the girl's face in his hands, his thoughts racing faster than his heart. He knew that he was hers until his death. No one else could possibly hold his heart like this. She is the one I shall give my heart to. I am hers. Elias thinks, not releasing her from his embrace. The air around them is cool as the amber night sky continues to darken. The midnight bells chime echo around across the city limits of Upper into Tisdale. The two strangers stood still in silence, their hands at their sides, unsure of what to say or do. The girl knew from years past the pain of sudden attraction, of what romance call love at first sight. And she knew the pains of the obsession it can turn into. She ran far from it many years ago. Her own memories burn with the image of deep yellow red eyes that could conquer any storm. In a moment, she turns to Elias and stands on her tippy toes, kissing his cheek, her heart beating fast as she watches his reaction. He gazes down at her, his eyes holding hers. It is getting late. Allow me to take you home, Eliza says, escorting her towards a second carriage, not too far from his lab. Of course, Rosalina replies, covering her shoulders with her shawl. And that is the end of chapter 3, I think. Let me see here. Drink some more water. Let me put down my book.
this. Okay, so now we're up to chapter 4. Let me stream marker. There we go. A new life. Tisdale, 1820. Rosalina lays down, holding the tulip from earlier. She closes her eyes, allowing herself to drift back into memories of childhood. Asmela, 1760. Their kingdom burnt to ashes, her crown stolen, and she did not mind so much. Her old country, Asmela, now ruled by the great king of demons, Rieta Dracul. His eyes cold, constantly watched the girl, infatuated of us and obsessed. He was a cruel creature, ruling with bloodlust for 1,000 years. Chaos swept the country. His rule was fueled by public executions of elves and human alike in a game of torture. The great giant sitting upon a throne of bodies, covered in flesh and blood, silver hair stained dark maroon. His sinister smile buried deep in her memory as she brought her brothers and mother to the execution block. Rosalina stood beside him, his hands tight on her hip, a reminder of her place. She no longer belonged to herself nor her family. They were his property. His toys he enjoyed tormenting, and she was his comfort each night. It was her fault. She had run away again, and because of this act of defiance, he would punish her. She begged for Dashwat's forgiveness and to spare her mother and brothers, but he did not listen. He turned his back to her, and her heart shattered. She wept all night, and he listened. The morning of the execution, her eyes were swollen red, as he growled with enjoyment as her eldest brother walked to the block first. She stood, hollow as the tears started to flow uncontrollably. Rosalina's brother gazed at his sister one last time. His last words she could not hear. But Dashawat licked his lips as Vertigo, his executioner, brought her brother to his knees. In an instant, her brother's head was swiftly removed from his shoulders. Her mother's cries broke Rosalina. Her body trembled. She choked back tears and screamed as she was forced to watch as all 7 of her brothers were murdered in cold blood. Rosalina fell to her knees, her hands a bruise as her fingers plunged Dashwood's pants. "Oh, Mort, please," she begged. Dima cocked his head to the side with a raised brow. "Come, my queen, you must watch as these rebels pay the price," he grins, lifting Rosalina up, her pleas ignored. Finally, it was her mother's turn, and hers was the worst. Vertigo, a yellow-haired demon, tied a rope around the old queen's neck, hanging her near death, then releasing it. This continued for 3 minutes until Dashwat stood and gave the order to end her life. One tragic day it took to bring the royal family to near execution. Rosalina remembered the feeling of his coarse hands upon her shoulder as he pursued her. His smell of blood and fire still burned deep into her nostrils. Tisdale, 1820. Rosalina opened her eyes, sweat beading down her face as she pushes the thought of the demon away. She had lived on since the demon's death and is moving forward since her father brought them to this foreign land 60 years ago. It is the way the fates plays, she says to herself, nearly every night. It is nearly noon when the girl wakes up, her body aching and mind flooding with confusion and the fear from the nightmare. It had been a week since Rosalina had heard anything from Elias. It was a tinge of pain as she sits up in her bed, her curly hair a mess as her chemist slides off her shoulder. The half-elf walks over to her vanity, taking a piece of paper and ink, and starts to write a letter to the doctor. The death of Sir Danvers still fresh in her mind. She washes before going downstairs for lunch. Mary is sitting at the table. Her fire-red curls are neatly pinned into a fashionable hat. Rosalina smiles, relieved that her friend was feeling better. She pours herself coffee before she herself sits down beside the girl. You are looking very fashionable today. Are you meeting some unknown prince? Rosalina asks, setting her cup down. Redhead holds her breath before she says anything, her blue eyes gleaming with excitement. Rosalina, I am going home. Papa has forgiven my sins and has allowed me to return. I want to ask you to come with me. Your father has already offered me a place in your household, and I have turned him down. Rosalina says, a warmth filling her heart at the happiness that her friend is finally able to leave this place. Why won't you come? Please tell me. Mary presses, placing a lace-gloved hand over her friend's hand, squeezing gently. How will the old bench manage the bills if I leave? The old woman is becoming half mad, Rosalina replies. Mary's eyes wide and pleading. Rosalina knew the girl was forcing her eyes not to swell with tears. Rosie, you deserve to leave this horrid place. You are more than some old man's plaything. Mary says, her ocean blue eyes piercing through Rosalina. Sighing, the half-elf rolled her eyes. Fine, I will consider it if you stop being a bother, all right? That is all I wanted. Mary smiles, pulling Rosalina into a tight hug. Now, are you available at all today? I want us to go to town and perhaps shop around. Yes, I must dress properly then. Rosalina smiles with a nod, finishing her coffee. Rosalina leaves Mary to get dressed for the day. She dons a silica made of cotton, brown, but decorated with light pink flowers that fell off the shoulders. She finishes with the dress tightening her bodice. Her chestnut brown hair falls down in waves of curls that kiss just past her shoulder blades. Fully. Once she is dressed, Rosalina quickly joins her friend at the door. The streets are filled with people rushing to and from their destination. As Mary and Rosalina walks arm in arm, Mary is excited to be out of the slums once and for all. Returning to her life as Lady Vespertine, daughter of the great knight General Clay. 5. The excitement is so much that she is not able to help but bring her friend to expensive shops that are filled with artisan perfume and kindred jewelry. Uncomfortable, Rosalina smiles, enjoying her time with Mary to the fullest before she left the house for good. The sun begins to set. The girls wrap up their shopping. Mary purchases a new perfume and some cufflinks for her father. Rosalina, reluctant at first, purchased a bracelet crafted Asmila elvish white gold and intricately crafted of the old kingdom with a small amorous crystal. The memory of home was something she has always tried hardest to avoid. She smiles at the medal hung from her wrist. For once, a happy memory of home. Weeks turned to months and then a year, and the emptiness of Mary's presence at the house became harder to bear each passing day. Rosalina continues to write letters to Elias, wishing him good fortune in finding the cure. She even encouraged his ambitions until he no longer replies. Through her desperation for his affection, she continues to write to him daily, until one day she stopped, and without a word, Rosalina left her house, heading towards Abel's manor, ready to accept his job offer. Heartbroken, she holds back the tears that constantly threaten her as she stumbles across the alleyway and streets. Walking through the streets for hours, she stops at a small building with a sign reading, "Singer Wanted." She thinks for a moment, her mind considering all the other possibilities. She nods her head and mutters to herself before she takes a deep breath and enters the establishment. When the girl enters, she is met with a musky smell of dirt and dust filling the air as she passes the first room, a ticket room of sorts. The walls are painted with a dull red, the wooden frames breaking and termite bitten. Rosalina begins to question why she entered the rundown lounge. She takes a step backwards, her back hitting an old glass mirror off its hook. She holds her breath as the glass shatters against the dark, moldy carpet. "Shit," the girl whispers under her breath. She turns slowly, ready to run out the door. The chime of the doorbell stops her, biting her lower lip. Rosalina starts to think of a way to explain the broken, what she assumed was merchandise. A large man steps through the curtained hallway. With warm olive skin, he is dressed in the finest clothes. In the dim light, she is barely able to make out the color of his jacket and pants. Are they black? No possible. A deep gray? He approaches her suddenly. His golden brown eyes lock onto her. She sucks in a breath, unsure of where to look. "Who are you?" the stranger asks. His voice thunderous and alien. He is foreign, much like her. "Rosalina," she replies, her mouth dry with hands shaking. The stranger stares down at her continuously, for what felt like hours before his eyes shifted down towards the broken glass. He brushes his massive hands through his light gray hair, thick as a lion's mane. He steps away from the frightened girl. "Why are you here?" he asks, kneeling to pick up the large chunks of the mirror. She's taken aback and stumbles over her words before pointing towards the front door, where the sign hangs. "I am here for the job offer," Rosalina finally says, shuffling her skirt. The stranger stops, looking at her for a moment from the ground up. "Can you sing?" "Yes, I have sung at the Hargreaves Manor for an engagement party." "Sing something now." The stranger interrupts, a bored expression telling her that he has no interest in her past experience. Rosalina stands frozen, eyes wide in shock at the bluntness of the stranger. Heat rushes to her cheeks as she starts to protest, only to be stopped by his palm. "I own this parlor, and if you can sing, then you may stay here. Now hurry. I haven't much time to waste." "Oh, of course, sir." She is flustered and unprepared, but it takes her only a moment before she quiets her mind and starts. This is her opportunity to start a better life, only now filled with sin and shame. She begins. The melody flows through the room, the elvish language like silk. She continues to sing. The stranger, unfamiliar with the words, listens in awe. She transports him to a realm of rich history and beauty. He imagines waterfalls that are surrounded by lush, deep green grass, and times of fairies flying across the fields. Her voice is powerful and keeps the stranger captivated. The foreigner nods in approval. It is as though she used her pain to bring magic to her voice, creating an aura of hypnosis. The man uncrossed his arm and clapped 3 times. "So, do I get the job?" Rosalina asked, watching the stranger approach her. He towers over her. "Yes." "Thank you." Rosalina smiles. She is glowing and giddy, her eyes shining with hope at the thought of being respectable and living properly. Her heart skips a beat at the thought of being by Elias' side. Respectable. She quickly shakes the happy daydream away, depressed that her letters to Albus have gone unanswered for nearly a year. A twinge of pain shoots through her chest. She knew he was thinking of his own ambitions. Perhaps I was a fool for thinking he thought more of me. No respectable man would want me. There is a flat above the stage. You will stay there. The stranger breaks her from her sorrowful thoughts. I could not possibly afford that. You can stay there for no charge for now. Once I get this building up to date and its pristine condition, the rent will be pulled from your earnings as you continue to sing. Thank you, sir. I never caught your name. Lender Teeps, he replied, straightening his tie before he escorts the girl towards the empty flat, with only a small cot on the floor to sleep on. Rosalina turns back towards Leander, smiling with gratitude for the kindness of the strange man. Leander feels a burning on his cheek, and his heart starts to pound hard underneath his own chest. He nods before he leaves her alone, eager to get himself under control. And that was the end of that chapter. Let me just see, how long is this next chapter? Okay, it's not that long. So yeah, we're gonna continue with chapter 5, and then we're gonna see who else is on so we can read them. So, chapter 5. Lender's Teeps. Esne Name Lounge. Lender sits at his desk. He wipes off the dust that has compounded the oak wood. The Asnine adjusts his spectacles to see clearly through the mountains of paper consisting of receipts and deeds to more properties and shops that he has recently purchased throughout the country. A cup of cold coffee sits untouched, while the shapeshifter busies himself completely in a new letter. He has just received this morning. His unusual reserve features start to twist in annoyance and frustration as he reads over the overseas conditions. 2 diamond mines fallen, no survivors. 1 tobacco platoon ravaged and destroyed, no survivors. Attacked by a raid of Bactrian bandits. Captured 2. Their captain escaped. Sub-race vampire. Will execute them at sunrise. The feather pen he is holding snaps in two. Hunter takes a breath before taking a blank piece of paper and a new pen. The ink drips into the parchment. He begins writing. His own concerns of the disciples of the demon despots growing bolder each passing day. The followers rapidly growing in numbers as Julia continues to expand his border into Esna. Lander writes of strategies his captain and the prime minister are able to use to avoid further destruction of their land. Simple as they were, the soldiers would be able to follow the instructions given properly. Captain, take 400 of our best soldiers to the Twin Gate, where you will begin to post 50 men on each side. Should any of the Australian scouting parties attempt to breach our borders again, capture them, leaving one alive for interrogation. You will also place 100 of my personal guard to protect the Prime Minister around the trillion scum managed to pass the first 100 soldiers. After that, take the remaining 200 to guard entrance of the villages that reside upon the border. The Aslan finishes blowing on the ink to assure it is completely dry before he folds it neatly and places it in an envelope, sealing it with a deep green wax and his seal of a lion. There, they should assist them for a few weeks, at the very least, until I am able to return. Leander curses under his breath, rubbing his eyes tight. A knock distracts him. A construction worker, there for renovation instructions. As Ian stands from his desk, wiping the small particles of dust from his pants, he approaches the human towering over the boy, intimidating. My crew and I are here to begin work, sir. The human shudders. This way, Linder says, his tone even as he walks past. He lends the boy and his construction crew through the dark hallway, to an empty storage filled with cobwebs and broken chairs, with wood sticking out from the walls. Start in this room. The workers nod in unison, grabbing the tools. Linder pulls one aside. The boy looks around 16, his ears long. Elf boy, follow me. I have a second room that you will put together, he said, taking the boy upstairs to the decrepit flat. What would you like me to work on? Fix the walls. Put together the bed and paint the walls bright and vibrant colors. Ones that remind you, Ismella. Oh, and hang the velvet yellow drapes. Yes, sir. The elf begins his work, taking no longer than a day to complete the room. Linder enters the flat, his golden eyes searching for any imperfections. There was none. The sun shines through, illuminating the beauty of the paint. Canary yellow with embellished purple designs. Sir, do you like it? The elf asked. It is up to my tenant to see if she approves it. You may leave. I will send for you once she decides. Linder answers, holding his composure on the simplistic beauty of the work, satisfied. Rosalina enters the flat, holding bags of groceries and a few other items for the room. The Aslan is standing there waiting for her. He is quick to take her bags as she stands in shock and awe at the renovations. A familiar breeze flows through her with the soft colors of Esmella. Her heart quickens as she closes her eyes and remembers the ocean breeze that used to flow through her hair. The sound of gales and the waves crashed against her feet. A chill is sent through her entire body, and a single tear falls from her eye. Linder is quick to wipe it away. This is beautiful, sir. How much do I owe you for this? Rosalina asked, still unable to imagine the cost. This was something that needed to be done. You don't need to pay for any of it. Linder assures. Is there anything else you wish to change? He asks. With a smile, the girl shakes her head. It was the first time in a long time she felt at home. Safe. Rosalina turns to Linder, feeling of gratitude overwhelm her. She impulsively embraces the giant shapeshifter. She feels his body stiffen before it softens, and she feels his arms circle her. I am forever grateful, Rosalina whispers in his chest, listening intently to his beating heart. The pace of it quickens once again. She releases him, taking a step back before she looks back up at him. Curiosity sweeps through her. Why me? She asks. Why not you? You are my tenant, and of my employ, soon to be debuting for the whole of Upper. Rosalina pauses, her mind racing, as her thoughts continue to compile questions for her new employer. Are his intentions pure? As I had said before, you do not need to begin paying rent until the lounge itself opens. Until then, you are free to go as you please. His words were unsettling before Rosalina nods. Lander leaves her alone in the room, closing the door gently behind him, allowing her time to truly consider his proposal. The girl sits on the new mattress, soft as if filled with clouds. Weeks continued to pass for the construction and renovations of the lounge. It had been nearly 2 months since Rosalina arrived, and she had wrote to Elias once more, informing him of her whereabouts and how to contact her. Each letter to Elias had been ignored. She feels a twinge of pain with each new letter. Hurt filled her heart. When no answer came, it was like he had forgotten their friendship. She decided to try and see him. Rosalina walks through the streets, her heart pounding at the thought of seeing him. The girl stands at the bottom of the stairs of Elias's apartment. She takes a few steps and ponders if she should knock, shaking her head. She does not. She places one more letter under his door, but no one was around, her amber eyes swollen. With tears, she turned around to leave his home. Dearest, Elias. And that is what we will be stopping for today. Oh, where is the little sticker I was using for my bookmark? For my temporary bookmark. Because I should probably get a bookmark for this. And Ruru Moyo, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. Okay, so let me see who is on. Probably someone we haven't rated within the past 2 weeks. Oh. So it is the book Dragon's birthday. So we will be rating her. It's been a couple weeks since I rated her, so this is a good time to rate her. Actually, she is. I'm not sure if she's reading right now, but that's okay. So let me find. So here are the rate commands for anyone who is sub and who is not sub. You're free to pick any one of them, and if you want to add your own emails, you're free to do so. Thank you everyone who attended the stream today. I appreciate every one of you. I will be live again next week. Saturday. We will be doing more writing, and if everything goes well, Sunday should be the podcast, and this will be on Digiko's channel. And then I will be streaming after that for more writing. So until then, I will see everyone next time. Bye bye.
I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light. and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations. No need to make comments, no losing our consciousness. Haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken pieces. Crying and laughing, singing and shouting through all the bad times, still zooming around me. Huggles and kisses, forget the great distance. I need to hear your voice. I wanna catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Joy and kindness will overhaul the broken. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. The silence breaks, catch a radiant light and a butterfly. Could a radiant light apprehend the night? I keep looking back to the damage that's been done. Was it all for nothing? Is there nothing I've won at all? Where exactly do I belong? I sense a slight vibration, saves me from suffocation. Catch a radiant light and a butterfly. I think I found it all, towering over my battered soul. A single smile is all it takes to stop my year. Not a moment too soon, I emerge from my cocoon. A single word is all it takes. such a radiant light and a butterfly. The darkness that's been covering our hearts, it's starting to fade, prevail in the face of adversity. No more suppression, no regression, no more fake aspirations, no need to make comments, no losing our consciousness, haunting anxieties, lackluster memories, it stops now. I think I found